and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the record show all board members are present. Mr. Board, has public notice been given?
Yes, it has.
Shout outs and celebrations.
Okay, I have several of them here, and if someone did not get a chance to fill it out, just touch base with Mrs. Coleman and fill out one of the orange sheets. I have Liz Perkins. That doesn't work that well.
I just want to give a shout out to Deanne LaSavage. Deanne has done a great job the past couple years highlighting our YA students. I don't know if you've been down the halls lately, but there are banners of all of our YA students in the hallway, and she just takes the time to do these to highlight them and all the programs that they're in. They continue to grow, so we just really appreciate that she does that on her own time, puts those banners out there, and it's really great for students to notice that this is a program that they can partake in as they get older. So shout out to Deanne.
Thank you. If you want to just stand up over there, it's probably fine. Sarah Everts. Sarah.
I have Sarah's.
Oh, you're reading. Oh, her.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Sarah Everts writes about Sarah Gander. Sarah is the perfect teammate. She is prompt and reliable. Sarah can think on her feet to solve problems on her own and then informs me of how it worked out. When facing extra challenging behavior, she asks for input or suggestions and follows up with the plan. Sarah is also a great resource and sounding board for me when I am facing challenges. As a team player, Sarah recognizes when it is helpful to step in and support me or when to wait. Sarah has been flexible when schedules are changing and willingly goes where she is needed. Sarah is creative and thinks out of the box to engage students in learning. She always has positive energy, especially when working with students, and often helps turn a student's attitude around. Sarah is a highly qualified, capable staff member. She is a rock star in the Richland School District. Thank you to Sarah Gander.
Thanks, Carrie and Sarah. Got that. And then I have three of them here from Felipe Armijo.
All right. We have Kim. It's Kim Remington. She's our wonderful night custodian. She's been wonderful in stepping up and being able to take care of our building at night and keeping it clean, and a wonderful learning environment that is clean is important, and students recognize that and staff recognizes her hard work. It is sad though, she is leaving our district here at the next Friday is her last day. She's moving up to Camp Douglas area, but it is exciting that she's been with us for this time period and she's done a wonderful job. Thank you. All right. So our new addition to our staff is Karina. So Karina started at the almost towards November. Yeah. And she's caught on quickly and she's been doing a wonderful job learning from Kim and Mr. Alvin, and she's picked up and she's filled in really well to make our school continue to shine. And she's had a comment. Would you like to share the comment that was shared by a student today?
One of the kids said, "Oh, he sounded like class," and he goes, "Oh, that's how you put so funny."
Straight from a student. So thank you. Our day custodian, he's not here. Hello, Mr. Alvin. He does a wonderful job keeping our building clean during the day, but also in the morning, making sure we're safe. He takes care of that ice and snow that we've been having lately so that we don't have any slips or anything else in our front area and also our playground. So we want to give him a big shout out for all the hard work that he's been doing as well. So
Awesome. Thank you. Coleman, did you receive any others? All right, thank you to all those who gave a shout out, and equally thank you to all those who were recognized.
Great.
Then the public comments. Per policy 0167.3. Anyone wishing to participate in the period of public comment must be a resident of the Richland School District, the parent or legal guardian of an enrolled district student or an enrolled district student. Persons wishing to participate must be physically present at the meeting and must register in advance. Total time allotment of 30 minutes will be given for public comment. Each participant shall be given 3 minutes to address the board. Speakers are not permitted to make inflammatory comments, use inappropriate language or gestures, attack specific persons, or make a specific person the subject of their remarks. Please see policy 0167.3 for a complete list of requirements and restrictions. If a person is unable to adhere to these rules, they will be directed to end their comments. Mrs. Coleman?
No public comment.
Thank you. Moving on to reports, district administrators report.
Okay, so just a couple of things for the board. Next week, there are no board meetings next week. We do have a steering committee meeting on March 4th of next week. So remember that there's no governance meeting on March 4th. That was moved to March 18th. Mr. Umbihan is representing the Richland School District at the CISA meeting. Next Wednesday, March 4th, is also a no school for students. That is our parent-teacher conferences, our spring conferences. Those start at 11 a.m. and go until 7 p.m. that evening. And so our staff will be around there. And then finally, just to let the board and public know, due to some snow days that we've had, we did extend the Richland Center High School schedule by 10 minutes, 5 minutes earlier in the morning, 5 minutes later in the afternoon. Those official times are now 8 until 3:35. We started that on Monday, and that gives us a little bit of a cushion to allow for any early outs or late starts that we have. And then if we have an entire day that is canceled due to weather or extenuating circumstances, the high school would move to a virtual day to make up those minutes in that fashion. And when I say high school, I'm talking 7 through 12. No impact to transportation. And we have been doing it now for a few days, and it seems to be going pretty well. So any questions from the board on any of those things there? Okay, thank you.
Board member reports. Update the group and the public on the steering committee that last week. Currently working through basically getting the group up to speed on the charge statement that the board gave them in regards to the mission, value, and vision statements and development of those, and also setting the stage for a 2-night community event. So currently they are working on is identifying different groups in the public to start shoulder tapping to get the 2-night event kicked off. Questions for me? All right. Achievement gap reduction report.
Okay, this also called AGR. Hopefully you got an opportunity to watch Dr. Johnson's video there. But some of the highlights, and of course, she's here to answer any questions, but this is a requirement as part of the AGR funding. This report is required by DPI. This is the mid-year report. We can see that there was a substantial growth that was done in reading and math, strongest gains in kindergarten and first grade, but continuing progress in the others. Talked about some interventions for students, as well as this was our second year of the iReady implementation. But again, hopefully got an opportunity to see it, and Dr. Johnson is here if you have any questions or clarifying questions that you need to get answers to. Thank you.
Right. Food service report.
Okay, well, most of our reports are done virtually. Food just doesn't taste the same when it's done virtually as opposed to in person. So Jody Kretsch, our food service director, is here, and she's going to give a brief report on food service department and some of the things that are going on there. And if we're lucky and we listen attentively, maybe we'll get some treats. Help there, Mr. Lemke?
Good.
That's good.
Probably the best, you, Jody.
This. Say, but, we're looking forward to our summer program again this year. We have to fill out our application and contracts and stuff for that soon. I was just notified this week that our reimbursement for our summer program has went up significantly from last year. So we really want to promote that program. Next week is National School Breakfast Week. So we're gonna be having some different breakfasts and some giveaways and drawings and stuff for the kids. They finally passed, so we can next year serve whole milk again in school. So that's a great thing. Otherwise, food service is going good. We went back to 2 choices at the primary school, and that raised our funds by 30 or 40 a day. So they like having a choice.
Awesome. Aside from Mr. Dowman's standing ovation. Is there any questions? From the board?
Mission counts.
Sorry, it's not concrete, so.
No, I appreciate it. I love fruit pizza, so thank you.
Do you have any questions for Mr. Brecht?
I'm just wondering what time she wanted to share for breakfast.
What time does breakfast start?
At the high school, 7:30.
Thanks, Jody.
Thank you, Jody.
Thank you. All right, on to the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the prior meeting minutes of February 11th, 2026? So moved. Motion made by Mr. Bailey. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Sharp. Any discussion? Mr. Bailey? Aye.
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 Aye. On to financial items. Approval of statement of cash and invoices.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the statement of cash dated February 20th, 2026, and approve Community First Bank General Checking Account checks number 88055 through 88102, ACH number 252604570 through 252604698, EFT number 202500176 through 202500227 for a net total of $302,171.27. This is for the purpose of general operating costs of the district.
Motion was made by Mr. Miller. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Troxel. Mr. Bosworth, anything you want to point out or add?
The other thing I would point out this round is there's a few checks in there to some of our local residents who were a part of the foreign exchange program. And, that's pretty typical that people who host foreign exchange families receive a check. The check is coming from the foreign exchange program. In the past, it's been paid directly to them from the program itself. This year, the school needed to be the middleman in that program. So we're happy to do that, happy to receive the revenue from the company, sending checks out to the families, but I just want to clarify that money came from the foreign exchange program itself.
We got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Sure.
Aye.
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 The 2026-27 budget update.
Okay, you have seen and heard a couple of different things regarding 26-27. At the last meeting, we were talking about staffing, and we said that we would make sure that we gave you a budgetary update. This is the latest information that we have, and I'll turn that over to a business official, John Osborne.
So there's a table here in your board book, and hopefully you can find that. These are all big round numbers, so this is all very preliminary at this point. But these are some of the biggest things that affect the budget. There's always going to be inflationary increases in the pencils that we buy and the toilet paper that we buy. That happens. We know that, but these are some of the bigger things. So we'll just kind of go line by line here. Generally, if it's red, it's going to cost us more money. If it's green, it's going to help us cost less or bring in revenue. This is one way to look at that. So employee wages, the CPI we're supposed to use this year is about 2.7%. So if the board were to agree with employees and go to a 2.7% increase on wages, generally across the board, it would be about a $300,000 increase in expenses for us. Our health insurance, 12.9%, probably feels big to you. If we didn't have a rate cap built into our agreement from last year, our rate increase would have been over 30%, actually. And that's just based on some of the claims we have going right now. This is the initial proposal, right? We literally got the proposal today, actually, 12.9%. We'll have many more discussions about what insurance is going to look like, but if we wanted to go status quo with the same programs and coverages we have right now moving into next year, it'd be 12.9%, and that would be about a $400,000 increase in expenses. We have other insurances as well, property liability, things like that. Probably those things are going to increase. It's probably roughly going to be about $20,000. We'll be entering into a new pupil transportation contract. That's still in negotiations, but their costs are going up as well. So at this point, we just kind of earmarked maybe it'll be about a $50,000 increase. So there's some increased expenses for next year, some of the bigger ones that we're anticipating. We talked last meeting about some staffing changes. I'm probably talking in more detail tonight. But if those staffing changes are approved, that would probably decrease our expenses by about $250,000. And then finally, the revenue limit. You heard me talk about the revenue limit worksheet before. It's a little bit easier. We're in the middle of a biennial budget, so it's a little bit easier to predict what would change next year for us. At this point, it looks like our revenue limit authority would increase by about $450,000 for next year. So we would have the authority to bring in another $450,000. Now, where that money comes from, if we get more aid from the state or if we have to increase our levy, regardless, it's a positive for a school district in terms of increased revenue. So if you add up the reds and subtract the greens, you're looking at this point of about $70,000 more in spending than we have this year. If all of those things were to come to fruition as presented.
I believe I know the answer, John, but just maybe for the board, the $450 also includes the non-recurring referendum, $100,000 increase.
That's
included.
That's a part of that. That's included in that. Yes.
Any questions from the board financially? I mean, there's some agenda items later on, but obviously are affected by finances. Which affect finances. Okay.
Coleman, consent agenda items.
Motion to approve the consent agenda items is presented. Motion to accept the donation of instruments valued at approximately $125 from Jim Nelson. Motion to accept the donation of $250 from the Family Thrift Shop and $100 from an anonymous donor. Motion to accept the donation of $11,616 from Bradley Downa via the Richland School District Foundation. Motion to accept the donation of $10,000 from the Richland School District Foundation for the 2026 Fall Musical.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented? Motion made by Mrs. Thompson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
By Mr. Troxel. Board, anything you want to put on or add?
None tonight, thank you.
Discussion? Dowden. Aye.
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 On behalf of the board, I would like to thank Jim Nelson, the Family Thrift Shop, and anonymous donor, Bradley Dowden, and the Richland School District Foundation for the generous donations. Is there a motion to approve the modified agenda? So moved. Motion made by Mr. Bailey. Is there a second? Second. Second, Mr. Miller. Discussion? Mr. Miller. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, on to information and discussion items, district vacancies and appointments.
Okay, you can see that we have 3 openings right now, a night custodian at the high school, special education aide at the high school as well. Those are both relatively new openings, and then the behavioral tech that we have at I Thrive. My understanding there is that they've got some candidates, but due to schedules, it got stretched out a little longer to complete all of the interviews and getting interview panel, the same interview panel for all the candidates as well as the candidates. That's my understanding in that. But again, we're doing pretty well this year from a staffing standpoint. It won't be long before you start seeing the 26, 27, likely at one of the 2 meetings in March, and you'll start to see both. But that's where we're at right now for our vacancies. Anything from the board that can help with? Okay.
Okay, referendum projects and concession stand update.
Okay, Chris Clerkin is someplace, oh, over there. Chris Clerkin is here tonight to give a kind of an update. This is just kind of trying to keep this on the agenda every 3 meetings or so to keep the board and our public informed of what's going on. So Chris is here to talk about the referendum and the update on the concession stand, the fire at the high school.
Yeah, thanks.
Sorry.
Mark's actually gonna start out here with a couple of schools that we got on the list here. So.
We'll start at the primary school. At the primary school, we're finishing up a punch list of just the items, small items that need to be done. We've got over the spring break scheduled to paint the hallways. That's gonna be exciting. And then in the spring, as soon as the weather gets nice, we'll finish the exterior landscaping and blacktopping. Intermediate school, kind of at a standstill until spring break. They're working on the second set of bathrooms. They plan on tiling those, trying to get those finished up. We're working on some lighting fixtures. Kind of behind the scenes electrical work and duct work.
Updates from the high school. A lot of the work that's been done previously has been done in the auditorium. So a lot of conduit that's been installed in the ceiling. They're actually starting to run some wires through that conduit to get power from the stage up to the heat. Has been in to the auditorium, installed new speakers in the auditorium. So we've been told it's a very, very good system that we've picked out to put in there. We did have to make a slight adjustment to the speakers, raise them up a little bit to make sure they work with the lighting fixtures that we have on our catwalk. Small adjustment there, but it does look fantastic at this point. Throughout the last, I want to say, week or so, we've had a company working at night, fixtures in classrooms, in the hallways, If you walk the main hallway now in the high school, all those have been upgraded to LEDs. They're all consistent lighting, so everything is white within the hallway, so those are looking very nice, within the high school, so. A little work will be here, will be done here and there, till the end of the year. And then it'll be, all go, when the summer hits, so. As far as concession stand goes, we are about 99% complete, not quite finished yet, there's still some small items on the punch list. After walking through with Nexus, there's some things we're not happy with that are in there and we want to get fixed before it's gonna be done.
Any questions from the board for Mr. Noble or Mr. Perkin? Any referendum or concession stand related?
What's the expectation as far as timing for the concession stand to be completed?
Realistically, I would have liked to have it done months ago, but it's trying to get contractors back to work on it. So one of them is Fowler and Hammer, which they're on site almost daily here. But it's some of it we need to replace some parts, so it's ordering new stuff for the manufacturer, which can take a couple weeks to order it. But it's not very big items. We can open now if we wanted to, but we're just not happy. It's like that.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, thanks, guys.
Josten's picture service.
Okay, this is really on here just to get it on the record that let the board know you may get some questions. I know that we received a couple of emails from folks, and we want to make sure that we're clarifying. There has been some things in the news regarding a former CEO of Life Touch, with some allegations there. And there are many people in the community, or at least a significant amount, that have reached out that are under the impression that Life Touch and Josten's are the same company. And we did some research, and I believe where probably that misconception arises from is back in 2006, Josten's, of course, you know that Josten's is big into the world of yearbooks and class rings and graduation, things like that. They actually wanted to get out of the picture business, okay? And so they sold their photography portion at that time to Life Touch, all right? In fact, the school used Life Touch for a few years, and actually we're not that happy with them. In 2018, Josten's then said, we are missing an opportunity. That we had fulfilled the non-compete clause that was signed, over a decade ago. We're going to get back into the picture business, and so now they have restarted a branch under Josten's called Josten's Pick. Okay, PIX is the name, and they have been in existence ever since then. It's who the district currently uses for super registration for pictures, as well as makeup day pictures. But I want to be clear and on the record that Life Touch and Josten's were never the same company, nor are they the same company now. It was just that one portion of Josten's that was sold to Life Touch, but not Josten's as a whole. Josten's has now re-entered the school picture field and continue to assure us that all data is fine. As a side note, the new Life Touch CEO has sent a message out assuring all school districts that despite what may have happened in the early 2000s, he can assure us that everything that was done since 2009, I believe is what the email said, is fully secure and is uncompromised, and that would fall within the time frame that the Richland School District used Life Touch as well. So happy to answer any questions. I don't know if I'll 100% know the answers, but I can certainly try. I think the big thing that I want you as board members and our public to know is Life Touch and Josten's are not, nor have they ever been, the same company. That's the big take. Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, action items, 2026-27 Purveyor Contract.
Mr. Birmingham, because I am an employee of one of the two companies that bid, I will be excusing myself from the conversation and abstaining from the vote.
Thank you.
Want your food? Right, you good? Okay.
Good.
Okay, I think I'll just turn this over to Mr. Bosworth. Kind of presented it a couple of meetings ago, and we'll just pick up where we left off. You don't mind, John?
Yeah, that's great. So, because we're, receiving federal money, and purchasing USDA commodities, we are required to do a bid process every year. To select our food purveyor for those USDA commodities. We have historically just done, send out a list, here's what we think we're gonna need for the next year. Tell us the prices that you would give us for those. We did that this year. Unfortunately, after we started the process, we realized that we could have done better in our initial information we sent out to companies. And so when we got the information back, we couldn't really compare apples to apples. And so we asked the board to table the decision. Since then, we sent out an improved list, basically the same list, but just asked for some more specific details to go along with that. The same two companies sent back bids this time, Performance Food Service and Cisco. We asked for some non-money answers, and basically the two companies were very similar in the things that we could do for us. But now we're more confident in the dollar values that we're presenting to you. And Jody is here, and she could certainly answer any questions that you want to. She went through this list of 50 items with a fine-tooth comb and called back the company on a couple of them to get some clarifications. So we're really, really confident that these dollar values are good now. And so Cisco is the lower bid at this time.
That is our recommendation.
That is our recommendation.
Questions from the board? It's nice.
In the food quality for Cisco's, this is good, if not better, as Performance Food Service.
Jody, can you help me with that?
Yes. We have got products from both, of them, yes.
Any other questions from board members? All right, hearing none then, is there a motion to approve Cisco as the USDA food purveyor for the 2026-27 school year as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Made by Ms. Troxel, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Thompson, any discussion? Mrs. Thompson.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Moving on to 11B, the multi-year contract lease of turf tank to sprayer.
Okay, so the board is familiar that we have had entered into an MOU with the county for the field space over at the campus, the gym, parking lots, and we're in the process of purchasing that. And until that closing goes through and the survey work is all done, we'll be continuing to operate under the MOU. But with that, we are responsible for mowing and maintaining that property. And one of the things that we have noticed since we have taken over the maintenance and groundskeeping portion of the campus is that it can be very taxing on our staff to maintain all of the athletic fields and grounds that we currently have, in addition to the new grounds. And so we are always looking for ways to try to be more efficient. We examined a couple of different options, and Chris Clerkin did extensive research, and perhaps Mark as well. Did you guys do this together? I don't want to not give one of you credit, but
I'm also.
Okay.
We can do it for you.
Regardless, I did a bunch of research on a robotic sprayer. Okay, and does this make sense? And does it work? And is it cost effective? And what we have found is that we think it'll be very effective and accurate and save us a significant amount of labor. If you read the memo there, Mr. Clerkin has in there that, you know, painting of one football field requires up to 12 hours to stripe and to paint that. You know, soccer would also be quite a bit. Baseball, softball, perhaps a little bit less, but still significant amount of time. These robotic sprayers have come a long way, and once they are programmed, they can paint these lines extremely accurate. And there's actually a cost savings in the paint because they don't have as much overspray. And in the old model, if once we laid out the football field, correct me if I'm wrong here, Chris, but once we laid out the football field, even if there wasn't a home game for 3 weeks, we had to continually paint that in order to keep the paint on there. All right, because as you mow it, obviously it's gonna gradually disappear, and if it's gone, then you've got to relay it all out again. That would not be the case with a robotic sprayer, because it could be eliminated and then simply repainted. And we're not painting it in between, taking that time. And we think this is going to be an efficient and effective way for us to maintain the grounds that we're going to have in the expansion of the campus, and get accurate and get all of our lines painted on our athletic fields. Because this is a multi-year contract, okay, our policy says that the board has to approve that. This is a future financial obligation, even though the $9,000 annual cost is something that is within our budget. We can only guarantee that it's within this year's budget at this point. And that's why the multi-year contracts and future financial obligations have to come to the board. So it's a $27,000 contract, broke up over 3 years, $9,000 apiece. We do have the supplies, the paint, as well as an initial setup for fee for programming. But this is the recommendation. But before I ask the board for questions, I'll ask you folks, did I miss anything you want to add?
No, I think you hit it on the head with everything there. It is gonna save us a lot of time, but I guess the biggest thing is we wanna make our facilities look nice and, you know, presentable with all the facilities that I've been to over the years of coaching. Taking notice on some of those where they literally have the logo painted on the field. They have the numbers on the field like a college or NFL stadium would have. This is also able to do text within the end zone. So it's going to make our football field look fantastic. There's also other areas that we can expand to. We could paint parking lots with it. No, I know we're not going to need it for next year, maybe the year after, but it's a future expansion to do on for that.
Contract is included in the PDF with all the terms, but again, this would be taken out of budget or planned to be taken out of budget this year and in future years.
Questions?
Chris, I noticed on here that the referral came from Hillsborough. Are they using it currently?
Yes, Hillsborough has one.
Okay, and then the logo part at where it's valued at 1,500, is that complimentary just for the first year or for all 3 year, or it'll just be included in that 3 year?
It would include it.
Okay, that's all I think. Thank you.
Chris, did you talk to any other schools, obviously Hillsborough? As far as any kind of
Hillsborough's the
breakdown
only-
issues?
Yeah, Hillsborough was the only one I contacted, just because of the referral. North Crawford has one, but the rest of them were kind of spread out further away from us, so.
What's the training time to have someone be able to?
Um,
All
Training time won't take that long, basically it's just running on an iPad. Once we have all of our field programmed, which is done by Turf Tank, they will come and spend a whole day, setting all of our fields up. But it's just simply press and go with your location, so training time would probably be a day's worth, just going around each location, but on-site.
And was there approximate amount of time it would take this unit to paint the entire football field?
An entire football field would take close to 4 hours to do. We did get a demo done when it came out. We only did a 25-yard line in type of demo, but that took about a half hour. We did minimal numbers, hashes on the field. But in order to do a whole field, depending on what all you want on there, could take 4 hours, could take 6, but that's 6 hours that Tim is doing something else.
Thank you.
Any questions from board
And the
members?
programming is included in the price.
Yes.
What else software update and over the years?
There's no cost to upgrade. So with a 3-year lease, which is what a lot of schools will do, is just lease the Turf Tank. Technology continuously updates on these, so if there's another one after the 3 years and we want to do that, we would get a new model, so new upgrades, new technology.
Any questions? Is there a motion to approve the lease agreement for a Turf Tank 2 sprayer as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Sharp. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Miller. Any discussion? Mr. Troxel?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi,
Aye.
It's the non-alternative education staffing for 2026-27.
Okay, so these next 3 agenda topics, you heard at the last meeting for information, they were all within one topic, but for the purposes of potential motions, they're broken out here tonight. The first one being a reduction in staffing, certified staff or leadership positions within our in-building educational programs. So again, just a reminder, this is excluding our alt-ed programs. And you heard Mr. Bosworth earlier talk about the budget. We're very, very close to budget neutral, but that is including these cuts. We had the estimated savings at about 250,000. Obviously, every individual is paid slightly different, so those are just that estimates. But administration would work out a plan on what this looks like. But we would be asking the board to approve the staffing plan for certified staff and leadership positions to be able to reduce 3.0 FTE full-time equivalency for the 26-27 school year as presented. Happy to answer any questions that came up between last meeting and this one, or rehash anything that you want the public to be reminded of, but you know, the board has seen it. Again, anytime we would reduce, we would try to do that through attrition, through transfers. And if we had to, then we would have to look the layoff. And the other thing I would point out is it's a net 3.0. So if in future agenda items tonight, the board adds programming to an all-day everyday 4K, and we've got to add a teacher and an aide there, then we would actually have to make reductions even further to get to the net 3.0. So this would be all encompassing.
Questions? Last meeting, discussed it. Alright, hearing none then, is there a motion to approve a net reduction of 3.0 FTE certified staff or leadership positions within building educational programs for the 2026-27 school year as presented? Motion made by Mr. Sharp, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Thompson, any discussion? Aye.
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 All day, every day, 4K program for 2026-27.
Okay, so similarly, piggybacking off of the last one, you've saw this at the you've seen this at the last board meeting. We are only funded for half day 4K. Every school district in Wisconsin, that's the maximum funding that they would get. It's counted as a 0.6 FTE when it comes to funding. And right now our 4K students are going either a Monday, Thursday session or a Tuesday, Friday session. And then our teachers, because they're teaching all day during those 4 days, their prep is all in one day. And that's where they do their outreach, their preparation for classes, etc. We've had a growing number of neighboring school districts that are offering all day, every day 4K in some capacity. Some of it may be true all day, every day 4K. Some of it may be, it looks and feels like all day, every day 4K, but it actually is a wraparound program where some of it's educational and some of it's a little bit more like a daycare setting. We're not 100% sure what ours would look like. We've got some ideas, but the idea of us going to an all-day, everyday 4K, well, it might not bring in more funding from the state level for four-year-old kindergarten. The hope is, and you saw earlier in the year, we had a significant number of four-year-olds that chose open enrollment out. Okay, and none choosing open enrollment in for 4K. And so while we might not get more funding, there is a strong chance that we would not be losing as many four-year-old kindergarten to neighboring districts or private schools that are offering parents an option to have all day, every day 4K, whether that's for educational purposes or daycare purposes or a combination of both. It does seem to be something that families in our area are seeking. And so that is what we are proposing that we do for next year. Dr. Johnson's here. I know Amy Hardy, or I believe Amy Hardy is online. If you have any questions, Sherry, do you have anything that you want to add? Since
Not really, we're kind of in the preliminaries of planning what this could look like, and once we get more direction and with that, then get a bit on, but we love kind of ideas. We have a lot of resources around us that are doing things. We want to learn from them, other districts and things.
any questions on the board?
At this point, we don't have any idea on attendance perspective of students.
Well, we do know that it would be similar to the same attendance as we had this year for 4K. We're guessing, but we also know that there's a local private school that has several of our 4K children that attend there. We aren't sure if it's because of the programming that's offered or that it's an opportunity that they can't get with us. So that'd be a question that we would need to uncover. As far as our chat, like the every 10 years goes, we don't really have an exact number. We have a pretty transient community, so it's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly how many are out there not using anything that we can maybe draw into. I know that there's not many childcare centers to choose from anymore in our community either, so that's kind of what spurred some of this too.
Don't quote me on this exact number, but I believe we had 7 this year, four-year-old kindergarten that they opened without to other districts that would not be including private schools.
if that's. Was there a conversation with parents of current 4K students that they would have preferred to have all day, 5 days, or I guess part of the thought process, obviously, we want to keep our kids in our district with more motivation behind that.
Not directly from certain families or anything, because it is a combination of wanting somewhere for the children to go so that they don't have to transition them several times a day or several times a week. So they just go to one place. But the other thing is like what Mr. Board was saying about the model, you know, if we want to do a wraparound where we had educational activities in one part of the day and childcare in one part, or we did fully 4K all day, like it looks similar, but not exactly. You know, there's lots of ways to do it that would possibly could meet everybody's needs if people need more flexible scheduling. Like if they really only wanted 3 days a week, then that's a conversation we should have with them individually. It's not required, so we don't have to require them to attend.
We do know we have this year and have had over previous years, a handful of families that will attend our 4K program 2 days a week, and then a private school the other 3 days a week. So just based on that, you know, fact that we know that that happens, we're anticipating retain a good chunk of them.
Thank you.
Other questions from board members? Okay. Is there a motion to approve moving to an all-day, everyday, 4-year-old kindergarten model starting with the 2026-27 school year as presented?
Motion.
Made up Ms. Troxel, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Thompson, any discussion? Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
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 Aye. Alternative education staffing for 2026-27.
Okay, so this is now in that alt ed bucket. So all of our alternative education options that we have. I think I can say fairly confidently that all of the options that we have started have been very successful, more than we probably anticipated them to be successful so early. And much like how we had initially planned on hiring one Hive teacher last year and ended up hiring 2 with the idea that it would grow, and it just blew up in a good way. This is kind of what we're thinking with this, is that there's an opportunity, still an opportunity for us to invest on the front end with the hopes of expanding some alternative education and bringing in revenue on the back end. And the primary place where this ad would be in our alternative education off campus, which again still needs a name. All right, but we have a subsection of students that for whatever reason are not allowed to come attend school in the traditional manner. They're being educated by some wonderful staff members at our public library. And we recognize this need not just in our district, but in neighboring districts. And we firmly believe that if we had the ability to expand, that we would be able to take on some of their students, not necessarily in an open enrollment model, but in a interagency agreement very similar to what we do with iThrive. And so if the board is willing to, again, roll the dice and invest into something that we believe has not even come close to reaching its ceiling, we believe that this could be a revenue stream for us very quickly and possibly even break even budget neutral as early as next year. So cost of a teacher, all in with benefits on the high end is about 105,000, 110,000, family insurance, all of that, high end of the pay scale. Low end would be somewhere in the 75,000 to 80,000. If we can enter into a intergovernmental agency agreements called a 660301 agreement, and we can educate these kids for 20 grand, we don't need that many to make up that cost. And I would think that it would be somewhere around there because the open enrollment cost is, 14,000. So it would probably be more than that. These students would require a little extra work. So I think that it's very feasible that we could do that. And while it might not look that way on day one, over the course of the year as we expand this, we do think that you can grow. I know Mr. Lunkins Perkins have had conversations with conference principals, and I think we all recognize that there's a need out there. And that we have a niche that we're developing here in the Richland School District to make this go. So that would be the ask, that we expand our alternative education by 1.0. Again, while the board isn't necessarily concerned with exactly where they're going to be placed, it's going to be primarily at that off-campus alt-ed. There may be some spillover and helping out with Hive before we hire a third person, those kinds of things, but it'll be primarily in the off. Questions?
Can you tell me a little bit more about the location? If they're gonna increase the number of students?
Yeah, it's a great question. Our plan has been and continues to be that all of our alternative education programs will eventually move to Melville. Once we get that closed and we're able to get in there and get renovated what needs to be renovated. I Thrive is probably the last alternative education program to move because it's going to require the most renovation. Fortunately, we have a lease with the current place through the end of the next school year. We could move our off-campus, the program that's being done at the public library. We could probably move that into Melville in less than a week. And if you told me we had to move tomorrow, I think we could make it work. So I think we could transition some of these very quickly and fully anticipate having control of that building by July 1st, and probably sooner. Yeah.
Mr. Moore, how does that look? Because currently they're off campus or off school district property. If we then move them into on-campus property with other students, how is that going to be controlled and looked at?
Yeah, without getting into a lot of the details, there may be circumstances where the board has to look at doing some revisions to different orders or agreements that need to take place.
Thank you.
Questions? Is there a motion to approve a 1.0 FTE increase in alternative education staffing for the 2026-27 school year as presented?
So
Motion made by Mr. Bailey, is there a second? Second by Mrs. Sharp. Any discussion? Mr. Sharp.
Aye.
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 Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Ms. Troxel, is there a second? Second. Second, Mr. Miller. Discussion. Mr. Dowden. Aye.
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 Thank you.